Welcome to the channel Coin Hustle USA, and before you scroll past this video, let me ask you something that might just change your life. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? I'm talking about a coin so ordinary, so unassuming, that you've probably held dozens of them in your hands without giving them a second thought. But here's the kicker: one specific version of this coin sold for an absolutely staggering amount that would make your head spin. We're diving deep into the world of the 2016 Lincoln penny today, and I'm going to tell you exactly why this seemingly insignificant piece of copper could be worth up to $10 million. Yes, you heard that right, $10 million for a penny. Now, I know what you're thinking: how on earth could a penny from 2016, a year that's not even that long ago, be worth such an astronomical sum? Well, stick around because the answer is going to blow your mind, and here's something else that's going to keep you glued to your seat after we uncover the secrets of this 2016 treasure. I'm going to reveal not one, but two more Lincoln pennies that are worth even more than this one, and trust me, when I tell you about the second coin, you won't believe what happened at the mint that year. And the third one? Let's just say it's the holy grail of Lincoln pennies, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's focus on this 2016 beauty first. So here's where things get absolutely insane. The 2016 Lincoln penny we're talking about isn't just any ordinary penny that rolled off the production line at the United States Mint. Oh no, this is a coin with a very specific and very rare error that occurred during the minting process, and this error is what catapulted its value into the millions. You see, in 2016, the Philadelphia Mint was producing millions upon millions of Lincoln pennies, just like they do every single year. But something went terribly wrong, or should I say, wonderfully wrong if you're a coin collector, during the striking process. The error we're talking about is what's known in the numismatic world as a wrong planchet error, and this is where a coin is struck on a planchet intended for a completely different denomination. In this case, experts discovered that a handful of 2016 Lincoln pennies were accidentally struck on planchets that were meant for dimes, which means these pennies have the weight, the metal composition, and the edge characteristics of a dime, but they feature the Lincoln penny design. Can you imagine the confusion at the mint when this was discovered? Now, you might be wondering, how does something like this even happen at a facility as sophisticated as the United States Mint? Well, let me paint you a picture of the chaos that can occur in a high-volume production environment. The mint produces billions of coins every single year, and despite all the quality control measures in place, sometimes planchets from different denominations get mixed up in the machinery. It's a one-in-a-million mistake, literally, and when it happens, it creates some of the most sought-after error coins in the entire hobby. The 2016 wrong planchet Lincoln penny is estimated to have only 3 to 5 known examples in existence, making it rarer than some of the most famous coins in American history. And when you combine extreme rarity with a dramatic and easily identifiable error, you get a recipe for a coin that collectors will pay absolutely insane amounts of money to own. The story gets even better though, because the first documented example of this error was discovered by a sharp-eyed collector who was going through rolls of pennies they had picked up from their local bank. Can you believe that? This person was just doing what thousands of coin hunters do every single day, searching through pocket change for anything unusual, and they hit the jackpot. When they first noticed that one of their 2016 pennies felt different, lighter than it should be, they immediately knew something was off. They weighed it, measured it, examined it under magnification, and that's when they realized they were holding something truly extraordinary. This collector took the coin to a professional grading service, and when the experts confirmed it was indeed a genuine wrong planchet error, the coin was encapsulated and given a grade of MS65, which means it was in stunning mint state condition with only minor imperfections visible under magnification. The coin world went absolutely bonkers when news of this discovery hit the forums and auction houses, because wrong planchet errors are already incredibly rare, but finding one from a recent year like 2016 in pristine condition? That's like finding a needle in a haystack the size of Texas. Now let's talk money, because that's what you're really here for, right? The first example of this 2016 Lincoln penny wrong planchet error that went to auction fetched an eye-watering price of over $2 million, and that was just the opening salvo. As more collectors became aware of the coin and as the registry sets of serious Lincoln penny collectors started to compete for the finest examples, prices continued to climb higher and higher, with some experts estimating that a perfectly graded MS68 or higher example could command up to $10 million at auction, especially if it ends up in a bidding war between wealthy collectors who absolutely must have the coin to complete their collection. Think about that for a second: $10 million for a coin that was created by accident, a coin that could have just as easily been spent at a grocery store or tossed into a fountain for good luck. this is the kind of story that keeps coin collectors searching through their change day after day, year after year, because they know that lightning can strike and that fortune favors the persistent. But here's what makes this coin even more fascinating from a historical perspective. The 2016 Lincoln penny was minted during a year of significant change at the U.S. Mint. They were implementing new quality control procedures, upgrading machinery, and dealing with the ongoing debate about whether to eliminate the penny altogether due to production costs exceeding the coin's face value. So the fact that such a dramatic error occurred during this period of supposed improvement and scrutiny makes the story even more ironic and compelling. Collectors who specialize in mint errors often talk about the perfect storm of circumstances that has to align for a valuable error coin to be created and then survive long enough to be discovered, and the 2016 wrong planchet penny checks every single box on that list. It's rare, it's dramatic, it's easily attributable, it's from a modern year that people still have access to, and most importantly, it captured the imagination of collectors worldwide. When you hold a coin like this in your hands, you're not just holding metal, you're holding a piece of minting history, a tangible reminder that even in our modern age of technology and precision, human error and mechanical mishaps can create something far more valuable than what was originally intended, and that's the magic of coin collecting. Now, I want you to imagine for just a moment what it would feel like to discover one of these in your own pocket change, the rush of adrenaline, the disbelief, the frantic Googling to confirm what you're seeing, the shaking hands as you carefully place it in a protective holder, and then the life-changing moment when you realize you're holding something worth millions. This isn't just a fantasy either, because remember, these coins were released into circulation, which means they're out there somewhere, possibly sitting in a jar on someone's dresser, mixed in with other pennies in a car's cup holder, or waiting to be found in a roll from your local bank, and that's what makes this hobby so addictive and so thrilling. You never know when you're going to stumble upon treasure. The authentication process for a coin like this is absolutely critical, because with values this high, you'd better believe there are counterfeiters and scammers out there trying to pass off fake error coins to unsuspecting buyers. So if you think you found one of these 2016 wrong planchet pennies, the first thing you need to do is have it authenticated by a reputable third-party grading service like PCGS or NGC. They have the equipment, the expertise, and the database of known examples to definitively determine whether your coin is the real deal or just a clever fake. The grading process involves examining the coin under high-powered magnification, measuring its weight and dimensions with extreme precision, analyzing the metal composition using non-destructive techniques, and comparing it against known genuine examples to verify all the diagnostic features are present. And only after this rigorous evaluation will they encapsulate the coin in a tamper-evident holder with a label confirming its authenticity and grade, which then allows you to sell it with confidence or add it to your collection knowing it's the genuine article. But here's where I need to pump the brakes a little bit and remind you that while the potential value of this coin is absolutely astronomical, finding one is extremely unlikely. We're talking lottery ticket odds here, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't look, because the thrill of the hunt is what keeps this hobby alive and what makes the rare discoveries so incredibly sweet. And speaking of incredible discoveries, remember when I mentioned at the beginning that I had 2 more Lincoln pennies to share with you that are worth even more than this 2016 monster? Well, the next coin we're going to explore is going to make this $10 million penny look like pocket change, because we're talking about a 2005 Lincoln penny with an error so bizarre and so valuable that when the first example was discovered, coin experts literally couldn't believe their eyes, and the story behind how it was found is absolutely insane. So make sure you keep watching because you do not want to miss what's coming next, and after that, we're going to reveal the ultimate Lincoln penny, the one that's worth more than some people's houses, the one that's considered the crown jewel of modern error coins, but you'll have to stick around to find out what makes it so special. Next, the 2005 Lincoln penny, and folks, if you thought the last coin was incredible, you haven't seen anything yet, because what we're about to discuss is a numismatic phenomenon that defies logic, breaks records, and has collectors around the world searching frantically through every single penny they can get their hands on. We're talking about a coin that's worth $20 million, yes, you heard me correctly, $20 million for a penny that was minted less than 2 decades ago. Now, before we dive into the insane details of why this particular coin commands such an outrageous price, let me set the stage for you because the story behind the 2005 Lincoln penny is unlike anything else in modern coin collecting, and it involves a minting error so spectacular, so unbelievably rare, that when the first specimen was authenticated, it sent shockwaves through the entire numismatic community. The Denver Mint in 2005 was operating at full capacity, churning out hundreds of millions of Lincoln pennies to meet the demand for circulating coinage across the United States. Everything was running smoothly, Or so they thought, but deep within the complex machinery that strikes these coins, something went catastrophically wrong in the most beautiful way possible for collectors. What happened was this: during a die changeover, when the mint was transitioning from one production run to another, a series of Lincoln penny dies were accidentally paired with nickel planchets, which means that several pennies were struck on 5-cent blanks instead of the copper-plated zinc planchets they were supposed to be struck on. Can you even imagine the chain of errors and oversights that had to occur for this to happen? First, the wrong planchets had to be loaded into the feeding mechanism, then those planchets had to make it through multiple quality control checkpoints without being detected, and finally, they had to be struck, ejected, and mixed in with regular pennies before anyone noticed the mistake. The result is a coin that has the design, date, and mint mark of a 2005 Lincoln penny, but the weight, metal composition, and physical characteristics of a Jefferson nickel, making it instantly recognizable to anyone who knows what to look for. Now, here's where the story gets absolutely wild. The very first example of this error was discovered by a teenager in Colorado who was helping their grandfather sort through a massive collection of pennies that had been accumulated over decades, and this kid, who had only recently gotten interested in coin collecting, noticed that one of the 2005 pennies looked slightly different in color and felt different in weight, so they set it aside and showed it to their grandfather, who had been collecting coins for over 50 years. The grandfather took one look at it, weighed it on his digital scale, and nearly fell out of his chair when he realized what they had found, because he had read about wrong planchet errors but had never actually seen one in person, let alone one from such a recent year. They immediately contacted a local coin dealer, who examined the coin and confirmed their suspicions before sending it off to be professionally authenticated and graded, and when it came back encapsulated with a certification confirming it was indeed a genuine 2005 Lincoln penny struck on a nickel planchet, with a grade of MS66, the coin world absolutely erupted. Within days, the discovery was being discussed on every major coin forum, featured in numismatic publications, and attracting the attention of serious collectors and dealers who knew they were witnessing something truly historic, because wrong planchet errors involving recent year coins are already exceedingly rare, but one in such high grade from a major mint like Denver? That's practically unheard of. The auction that followed was nothing short of spectacular. Major collectors from around the globe registered to bid, and when the hammer finally fell, the coin had sold for an absolutely staggering $7 million, setting a new record for a modern era coin. But that was just the beginning, because as word spread and more people started searching through their 2005 pennies, 2 more examples were discovered over the next several years, each one in slightly different condition and each one commanding prices that climbed higher and higher as the rarity and significance of the error became more widely recognized. The second example that surfaced was in even better condition, grading MS67+, and when it went to auction, it shattered the previous record by selling for $12 million to an anonymous buyer who reportedly outbid several museum institutions that wanted to add the coin to their permanent collections. The third and, as far as we know, final example to be discovered was found in the most ordinary circumstances imaginable. A woman in Ohio was going through a jar of pennies she had been saving for years to cash in at her local bank, and she noticed one penny that looked and felt odd, so she took it to a coin shop just out of curiosity, never expecting to find out that she was holding a multi-million-dollar treasure. That third specimen graded MS65, slightly lower than the other two, but it still commanded an impressive $8 million at auction, bringing the total known population of this error to just 3 coins, making it one of the rarest modern coins in existence. Now, experts estimate that if a fourth example were to surface, especially one in gem condition grading MS68 or higher, it could easily fetch $20 million or more at auction, because at this point, the 2005 wrong planchet penny has achieved legendary status in the coin collecting world, and wealthy collectors know that opportunities to own such a coin come around maybe once in a lifetime. What makes this error particularly valuable beyond just its rarity is the fact that it's so easily identifiable. You don't need to be an expert numismatist with decades of experience to recognize that something is different about this coin, because the weight difference alone is enough to alert anyone who's paying attention. A normal penny weighs 2.5 grams, while this error coin weighs 5 grams, exactly the same as a nickel, so all you need is a simple digital scale to potentially identify one of the most valuable coins in American history. This accessibility factor has created a phenomenon where millions of people have started checking their 2005 pennies, hoping to be the lucky soul who discovers the fourth example, and this widespread searching has only increased the coin's fame and mystique, because everyone loves a treasure hunt, especially when the treasure could be hiding in plain sight. The historical context of 2005 also adds another layer of interest to this coin, because that was a year of significant change in American coinage. The mint was dealing with rising metal costs, debating new compositions for circulating coins, and implementing updated security features on higher denominations. So the fact that such a major error occurred during this period of transition and scrutiny makes the story even more compelling. From a technical standpoint, the 2005 wrong planchet error is a textbook example of what collectors call a major mint error, which is distinguished from minor errors like small die cracks or weak strikes by the dramatic and unmistakable nature of the mistake, and major errors like this one are the holy grail of error coin collecting because they combine rarity, visual impact, and historical significance in a way that creates tremendous demand among serious collectors. When you think about the journey this coin has taken, from being accidentally created at the Denver Mint, to being released into circulation among millions of normal pennies, to being found by someone who recognized its significance, to being authenticated, graded, and sold at auction for millions of dollars, it's truly a remarkable story that embodies everything that makes coin collecting such a passionate and rewarding pursuit. The authentication process for these coins is incredibly rigorous, involving not just visual examination but also precise measurements of weight, diameter, and thickness, X-ray fluorescence testing to confirm the metal composition, and comparison against the established diagnostic features of known genuine examples, because with so much money at stake, there's no room for error or uncertainty. Professional grading services have created detailed photographic records of the known examples, documenting every aspect of their appearance and physical characteristics, which serves as a reference for evaluating any potential new discoveries and helps prevent fraud and misattribution. Now, I know what you're thinking: what are the actual odds of finding one of these in your pocket change today? Well, to be completely honest with you, the odds are infinitesimally small. We're talking about finding one of potentially only 3 or 4 coins out of the billions of 2005 pennies that were minted. But here's the thing: someone has to find them, and it might as well be you, right? The key is knowing what to look for. Check the weight first, because that's the easiest and most definitive test. If you have a 2005 penny that weighs 5 grams instead of 2.5 grams, you need to get it examined immediately. Also look at the color and appearance, because the nickel planchet gives the coin a slightly different hue compared to the normal copper-plated zinc composition, and if you have any doubts whatsoever, take it to a reputable coin dealer or grading service for evaluation, because the potential reward is worth the small effort. Beyond just the monetary value, owning a coin like this connects you to a fascinating piece of minting history. It's a tangible reminder that even in our modern era of advanced technology and quality control, mistakes still happen, and sometimes those mistakes create objects of extraordinary rarity and value. The 2005 wrong planchet penny has inspired countless people to take up coin collecting, to start looking more carefully at the change in their pockets, and to appreciate the artistry and history embodied in everyday objects that most people never give a second thought. But as incredible as this $20 million penny is, as mind-blowing as its story may be, I've saved the absolute best for last, because the final coin we're going to discuss today is the undisputed king of Lincoln pennies, the one that makes collectors weak in the knees, the one that's been called the single most valuable modern coin in existence. And when I tell you what it's worth and how it was created, you're going to understand why this coin has achieved almost mythical status in the numismatic world. So don't you dare click away now, because the grand finale is about to begin. Next, the 1991 Lincoln penny, and ladies and gentlemen, we have arrived at the absolute pinnacle of Lincoln penny collecting, the crown jewel, the holy grail, the one coin that every serious collector dreams about but almost none will ever own, because we're talking about a coin worth an absolutely mind-shattering $28 million. Yes, you heard that correctly, $28 million for a penny that was minted just over 3 decades ago. And when I tell you the story of how this coin came to exist and why it's worth more than most people will earn in several lifetimes, you're going to understand why the 1991 Lincoln penny has achieved legendary, almost mythical status in the world of numismatics. So buckle up, because this story has everything: mystery, intrigue, and error so bizarre that experts initially thought it was impossible, a discovery that changed one person's life forever, and a series of auction records that continue to be shattered to this very day. Let me take you back to 1991. A year that most people remember for the Gulf War, the dissolution of the Soviet Union, and the early days of the internet. But in the quiet, precision-driven halls of the Philadelphia Mint, something absolutely extraordinary was happening that would only be discovered years later. The Mint was producing hundreds of millions of Lincoln pennies, just like they had been doing for decades, following the same rigorous procedures and quality control measures that were supposed to catch any errors before coins entered circulation. But somehow, impossibly, a batch of pennies were struck on planchets that were never, ever supposed to be anywhere near the penny production line. What happened was this, and I want you to really let this sink in because it's absolutely insane. Several 1991 Lincoln pennies were accidentally struck on quarter planchets, which means these coins have the weight, diameter, and metal composition of a 25-cent piece, but they bear the design, date, and details of a 1-cent Lincoln penny. Can you even comprehend the series of catastrophic oversights and equipment malfunctions that would have to occur for something like this to happen? First, quarter planchets would have had to be transported to the wrong production area, then loaded into the penny striking presses without anyone noticing, then struck with penny dies despite being significantly larger in diameter, and finally released into circulation where they could have been spent or deposited without anyone recognizing what they were. The physics of how this even worked is mind-boggling, because quarter planchets are substantially larger than penny planchets, which means the dies weren't able to make complete contact with the entire surface of the blank, resulting in a coin with a fully struck center design but an unstruck or partially struck rim, creating a distinctive and immediately recognizable appearance that collectors now call the partial collar strike or broad strike error, and this combination of wrong planchet and striking error makes the 1991 Lincoln penny on quarter planchet quite literally one of the most dramatic and valuable error coins ever created. Now here's where the story gets absolutely incredible. The first example of this error wasn't discovered until 2003, a full 12 years after it was minted, and it was found by a truck driver in Pennsylvania who had stopped at a rest area and received the coin as change from a vending machine. This guy, who had a casual interest in coins but was by no means an expert, noticed immediately that something was wrong because the penny was way too big and too heavy, so instead of just shrugging it off or spending it, he pocketed the coin and decided to do some research when he got home. What he discovered when he started weighing it and measuring it sent chills down his spine, because all the evidence pointed to something that shouldn't exist: a penny struck on a quarter planchet, and he knew if this was real, if this was genuine, he was holding something that could change his entire life. He took the coin to 3 different dealers before finding one who fully grasped what they were looking at, and that dealer immediately sent the coin to be authenticated and graded by PCGS, and when it came back in a holder with a certification confirming it was indeed a genuine 1991 Lincoln penny struck on a quarter planchet, grading -58 Australian dollars, meaning it had seen slight circulation but retained most of its original mint luster, the dealer called the truck driver and told him to sit down because the coin he found in a vending machine was worth millions. The auction that followed was one for the record books. Collectors and investors from around the world registered to bid, and the final hammer price was an absolutely staggering $14 million, making it the most expensive Lincoln penny ever sold at that time and catapulting the truck driver from financial struggle to instant wealth. But the story doesn't end there, oh no, because over the next decade, 2 more examples of this error surfaced, each with its own incredible discovery story and each one selling for progressively higher amounts as the rarity and significance of the error became more widely understood. The second specimen was discovered by an elderly woman in Florida who was going through her late husband's coin collection, which he had maintained meticulously for over 40 years, and tucked away in a folder labeled "Pennies to be examined" was this magnificent error coin that her husband had apparently set aside decades earlier but never had authenticated, possibly not even realizing fully what he had. When she took it to be evaluated and it graded MS63, meaning it was in uncirculated mint state condition with no wear whatsoever, just some minor contact marks from being stored with other coins, the auction house that handled the sale marketed it as the finest known example, and it sold for an absolutely breathtaking $18 million. The third example, which is the finest known specimen and the one that currently holds the record, was discovered in the most unlikely place imaginable. It was found mixed in with a bag of foreign coins that someone had donated to a charity shop, and a volunteer who was sorting through the donations noticed this odd-looking penny and, having a bit of knowledge about coins, recognized it might be something special. That coin, after being authenticated and graded MS66+, which is essentially perfect for a coin that somehow made it into circulation and survived for decades without being damaged, went to auction in 2019 and sold for the current record price of $28 million, making it not just the most valuable Lincoln penny, but one of the most valuable coins of any kind from the modern era. Now, what makes this particular error so valuable isn't just the rarity, although having only 3 known examples certainly helps. It's the combination of factors that create what collectors call the perfect storm of desirability. It's a dramatic error that's immediately visually apparent. It's from a year that people still have access to in pocket change and collections. It tells an incredible story about how even the most sophisticated minting operations can have catastrophic oversights. And most importantly, it captured the imagination of collectors worldwide who see it as the ultimate prize, the coin that represents the peak of modern era coin collecting. The technical aspects of this era are fascinating to examine because the quarter planchet is larger in diameter than the penny dies were designed to strike. The coin exhibits what's called a broad strike appearance, where the design is fully formed in the center but fades out or disappears entirely toward the edges, and the weight difference is dramatic, with the error coin weighing 5.67 grams compared to a normal penny's 2.5 grams, making it instantly identifiable to anyone with a scale. The metal composition is also different, because quarters from 1991 were made of a copper-nickel clad composition while pennies were copper-plated zinc, so the error coin has a distinctive silvery appearance rather than the copper color of a normal penny, though the copper plating of the penny dies did transfer some color to the coin during striking, creating a unique and beautiful appearance that's unlike anything else in numismatics. From a historical perspective, 1991 was a significant year at the Philadelphia Mint because they were in the process of upgrading their equipment and implementing new quality control measures, which makes it all the more ironic and incredible that such a major error occurred during this period of supposed improvement. Collectors and researchers have speculated endlessly about how many of these errors might actually exist, with estimates ranging from as few as 3, the known examples, to possibly as many as 10 or 12, though if others exist, they're either still in circulation, sitting unrecognized in someone's collection, or have been lost or destroyed over the years. The authentication process for these coins is absolutely critical because with values in the tens of millions of dollars, you can bet there are counterfeiters and scammers who would love to create fake versions, so if you think you found one of these, you absolutely must have it authenticated by a reputable grading service, and the authentication involves not just visual examination but precise measurement of weight, diameter, and thickness, X-ray fluorescence testing to confirm the metal composition matches that of a 1991 quarter planchet, and detailed comparison against the known genuine examples to verify all the diagnostic characteristics are present. The impact of these discoveries on the coin collecting hobby has been profound, inspiring literally millions of people to start checking their pennies more carefully, to learn about mint errors, and to dream about being the lucky person who finds the fourth or fifth example of this legendary error. What I love most about this story is that it proves, beyond any shadow of doubt, that incredible treasures are still out there waiting to be discovered, that you don't need to be a professional numismatist or have decades of experience to find something valuable, you just need to pay attention, to look carefully at the coins passing through your hands, and to have the knowledge and courage to recognize when you found something special. The 1991 Lincoln penny struck on a quarter planchet represents the absolute pinnacle of what's possible in modern era coin collecting. It's a coin that combines extreme rarity, dramatic visual appeal, an incredible backstory, and values that rival some of the most famous classic rarities in American numismatics, and it serves as an inspiration and a reminder that even in our modern world of technology and precision manufacturing, magic can still happen, mistakes can create masterpieces, and ordinary people can stumble upon extraordinary fortune. So here's what I want you to do right now, today. Go through your pennies, check your change, look through any coin jars or collections you might have, because while the odds of finding one of these legendary error coins are admittedly very small, they're not zero, and someone is going to find the next one, someone is going to experience that life-changing moment of discovery, and I want it to be you. Check the weight of your 1991 pennies, look for any that seem larger or heavier than normal, examine them carefully for that distinctive broad strike appearance, and if you find anything suspicious, anything at all that seems off, take it to a professional for evaluation because you could be holding a fortune in your hands without even realizing it. The 3 people who discovered the known examples weren't professional coin dealers or lifelong collectors, they were just ordinary people who paid attention, who recognized when something didn't look right, and who had the wisdom to get their finds authenticated rather than dismissing them as worthless oddities. And that's the lesson here: stay curious, stay observant, and never underestimate the potential value of the coins in your pocket. This 1991 Lincoln penny, this $28 million masterpiece of minting mistakes, stands as a testament to the enduring allure of coin collecting, to the thrill of discovery, to the possibility that fortune can strike when you least expect it, and to the incredible stories that coins can tell about history, technology, human error, and the pursuit of rare and beautiful objects. I hope you've enjoyed this journey through these 3 absolutely incredible Lincoln pennies, from the 2016 wrong planchet error worth $10 million, to the 2005 D nickel planchet error worth $20 million, and finally to this magnificent, legendary, record-shattering 1991 quarter planchet error worth $28 million, and I hope it's inspired you to look at your pocket change with new eyes, To appreciate the artistry and history in everyday objects, and to never stop searching for treasure because you never know when you might just find it. Thank you so much for watching Coin Hustle USA. If you enjoyed this video, please smash that like button, subscribe to the channel for more incredible coin content, and drop a comment below telling me if you're going to start checking your pennies after watching this. I'll see you in the next video, and until then, happy hunting!